Inc., formerly known as BankservAfrica, has completed its transformation from a private back-end clearinghouse into South Africa's national payments utility. With the South African Reserve Bank now holding a 50% stake, PayInc's is the primary engine driving the country's shift toward a digitized, inclusive economy. You're watching Small Biz Evolution, and this week I am joined by PayInc's Chief Product and Scheme Officer, Israel Skosana. Israel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Khaka.
Now, with PayInc's functioning as a national utility, how are you ensuring that smaller fintechs and non-bank players have a fair and equal opportunity in accessing PayShop's rails compared to the big five banks?
Thank you, Khaka. Really, PayInc's has gone on this transformation that you spoke about to meet the objective of digitization of payments and inclusivity. And that is why now in the design of all payments infrastructure, we're looking at how do we put the consumer at the center of the design of that infrastructure. In this case, a good example of that is PayShop, where it is very clear it has an objective to displace cash and provide as cash ready alternative for in the digital payment space for consumers, for person-to-person transactions as well as person-to-merchant transactions in the near future. And this is to enable us to make sure that we are reducing the reliance on cash, which costs the South African economy around about 30 billion rand per year for cash transactions, and that includes insurance, logistics, transportations of the cash at the end of the day, that we now have more of an effective and efficient payment solution, in this case being PayShop, to counter the use of cash at the end of the day.
Israel, you've mentioned that 80% of PayShop's transactions are under 500 rands. As we move into 2026, what is the final frontier in displacing cash in the informal sector? And also, how far are we from moving to a cashless environment when looking at that spaza shop economy?
Yeah, so PayInc's as an infrastructure provider is trying to fully understand the needs of the South African economy, and then also some of our solutions that go across our borders, which we'll touch on a bit later. And in this sensing of what our needs are of the South African economy, we see a clear need to make sure that the cost of payments for under 500 rand be as low as possible, as accessible as possible, so that it becomes easy and efficient and effective way to do payments, as well as secure at the end of the day. Now that drives a lot of the product design, where we say, all right, how can it be used by South Africans on a day-to-day basis? And then also bringing it into the retail space, how can it be consumed in the retail e-commerce environment also? And that's where we have some innovation that is occurring that we must touch on there. But the opportunity is to make sure that we have a payment solution that meets the needs of consumers first and foremost, and then that results in the proliferation of it. By including partners such as fintechs, telcos, and non-banks into the fold, it means we're able to open up the payments ecosystem to all, to allow for payments not to be an exclusive offering from banks, but an inclusive offering offered by all at the end of the day who want to participate in the payment space.
So Israel, traditional e-commerce relies heavily on cards and EFT payments. What is the roadmap for PayShop for web, allowing customers to authorize online payments with just a cell phone proxy rather than entering their card details?
So first and foremost, PayInc's provides solutions across card, EFT, and ultimately PayShop that we spoke about there. So we're involved in that end-to-end. In the near future, what we have is the request to pay function, which allows for a merchant to request for payment in the e-commerce environment. That's allowing it, access to e-commerce without having the need to have a credit card, a prepaid card, or virtual card of some sort. So this is increasing the merchant, allows the merchant to increase their consumer base by allowing them to have access to PayShop to do as a transaction type, and not just ring fencing it to the select few. And that drives the growth of those e-commerce merchants' businesses, where they're able to then say, how can I not only just look at e-commerce in the traditional web sense, but also e-commerce in the sense of mobile payments possibly. And that's where PayShop continues to grow and continues to thrive, where it is able to allow for cell phone payments just with the use of your cell phone number.
Well, Israel, great insights there, and I'm sure that we will explore this topic a bit more, but we'll have to leave it there.
Thank you.
That was the Chief Product and Scheme Officer at PayInc's, Israel Skosana, debunking the organization's mission in accelerating the country's shift toward a digitized and inclusive economy.